Superhero films are full of cool sounding materials, but which ones are real and which ones are fake? Here's a quick guide to some of those materials. Number 1, iron, gold and titanium as mentioned in the 2008 film Iron Man. Are these materials real? Well, yes, indeed they are. They are elements or atoms that you will find on the periodic table of elements. It should be pointed out though that the outside of the Iron Man suit is not made of iron. It's actually made from a gold titanium alloy, and Tony Stark mentions this twice in the film.
Connect to the Cisco, have it reconfigure the shell metals, use the gold titanium alloy from the Seraphim tactical satellite. That should ensure fuselage integrity while maintaining power to weight ratio. Got it?
Iron Man, that's kind of catchy. It's got a nice ring to it. I mean, it's not technically accurate to see it's a gold titanium alloy, but it's kind of evocative, the imagery, anyway.
Here's your alibi.
Number 2, vibranium as featured in the MCU, which you're going to find in Captain America's shield, Captain Carter's shield, the Black Panther suit, the Vision's body, and Bucky Barnes' bionic arm. Now this wondrous material can do amazing things like absorb energy and release it later, but does this material actually exist? Well, unfortunately, I've got some bad news for you. It's not real, but there is some hope. In material science, it is possible to make new materials by combining different elements together. Some of these materials are called alloys, and one prime example of an alloy in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is the gold titanium alloy used on the outside of the Iron Man suit. But as of yet, nobody has figured out what atoms or elements should be combined together to make an alloy that has the amazing properties or abilities of vibranium as we see it in the MCU. We'll just have to wait and see. Number 3, palladium as featured in Iron Man 2. In Iron Man 2, Tony Stark's arc reactor is slowly poisoning his body due to the palladium that's used in the core of the arc reactor. But is palladium a real material? Well, it actually is. You can find it on the periodic table of elements with the atomic number of 46. However, would palladium actually poison you if it gets inside your body? Research has been done on this. The conclusions are questionable as to if that would happen, but let me just give you the following advice. Don't start putting palladium inside your body. Number 4, adamantium, the metal that is grafted to Wolverine's bones and of course his very famous claws. I'm sure there are lots of people out there who would love adamantium to exist. So does adamantium actually exist? Do we really have access to this material in the real world? Well, I've got to disappoint you again. Just like vibranium, adamantium does not exist. But our best route towards creating a material like adamantium is to turn to alloys. And perhaps an alloy including titanium would be the best solution towards creating a material like adamantium. And the reason that titanium would be a good choice is because titanium is a biocompatible atom or element, which means that you can put it inside your body and it won't poison your body. Titanium is frequently used for implants such as replacement hips or replacement knee joints. And because you might want to graft your real adamantium to your bones and your claws, if you happen to have them, it is important that any alloy you create is biocompatible and doesn't poison you when you put it inside your body. Number 5, and it relates to one of my all-time favorite characters from the X-Men and from Marvel Comics, and that is Colossus. In the comic books, Colossus has the ability to change his biological skin so that it is coated in a layer of organic steel alloy. But could this material actually exist? Well, steel does exist. Steel alloys are used all of the time to create structures for vehicles, for aircraft, and for buildings. And steel is an alloy that is mainly made up of iron and also includes other atoms or elements such as nickel or carbon. However, it would be impossible for the human body to create a steel alloy to cover the entirety of the human body because Our bodies does not contain enough iron, the main ingredient or raw material for any steel alloy, to create enough to cover our skin. But there is perhaps a workaround, because the inclusion of the word organic is very important. Organic refers to any material that contains carbon, and we have lots of carbon inside our body. And perhaps the solution would be to create a material from carbon that could coat the entirety of the human body. And one material that immediately springs to mind is graphene, one of the strongest materials on the planet. So while organic steel or an organic steel alloy does not exist, graphene does. And finally, number 6, Uru, which is the material you'll find in Thor's hammer Mjölnir. So does this material exist in the universe? According to the comic books, Uru is a metal ore that comes from the first moon to ever exist in the universe and has existed since the beginning of the universe. Well, I'm a scientist, and when it comes to scientific investigation or scientific discoveries, it's all about having evidence to say whether something is possible or something is impossible. My scientific hunch is that Uru does not exist, and this is based on the reading of lots of scientific papers on material science and other topics in the past. However, I don't have the capability of exploring the entire universe to search every single moon or every single star to find evidence that Uru does or does not exist. So for those hoping that Uru does exist, maybe it does. Maybe something like it does. But it's quite unlikely. There you go, a quick guide to some of the fake and real materials that are featured in superhero films. I've been Dr. Barry Fitzgerald, the superhero scientist, and stay tuned for more videos about superheroes, science, and lots of other topics. And until I see you next time, always think super.